Hey guys, episode 20 of the Vision Board podcast. I'm Tristan Cannell. Alongside me, I've got Johnny Stuffco.
What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing today?
I'm doing awesome. You?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling well.
Feeling awesome,
nice.
actually.
Yeah, man.
Ready to go. Today we've got an awesome guest, Chris Algieri. Before that, just a big thank you to you guys for subscribing and leaving us some really great reviews. So a big thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Just lately, as the days keep passing, we keep releasing some of our latest interviews. We're watching the reviews pile up, the awesome rating, 5-star ratings from everyone who's listening. So we really appreciate that. Mad love.
Absolutely, guys. So if you haven't subscribed yet, it's pretty easy. All you got to do is search on your iTunes or podcast app, and you can find us, the Vision Board Podcast. Subscribe, just leave us a quick review. It just helps us to grow every single week, and we'll just keep bringing you these awesome guests, and we'll just keep bringing those hits and tips that we bring every week.
Yeah, I like it too. Also, more than anything, it kind of gives us like an unwavering confidence that people are actually buying into this, because we're going all in too, so we expect that from everyone around us, so thank you.
Absolutely. Just a big shout out to our sponsors, Jackrabbit Slim's Barbershop and The Organic Trainer.
Yeah, check The Organic Trainer out at www.theorganictrainer.com for all of your exercise and recovery tea needs. They also have an awesome tea flask. This allows you to actually take the tea leaves, put it in the bottle, add water, and just take it with you. When you're proceeding to the checkout, use code word TheVisionBoard to receive 10% off of all of your purchases. If you're living in the Sydney, Australia area, if you want to get that haircut looking good, if you just want great service, check out Jackrabbit Slim's Barbershop in King's Cross, Potts Point. Be sure to make an appointment up with Dre. He's always booked. He'll leave you feeling so fresh and so clean.
Awesome, guys. Well, we've got an awesome guest coming up. We've got Chris Algieri. So stay tuned for Chris's interview.
Let's do this.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stuffco and Tristan Cannell.
Well, special guest today is Chris Algieri. He's a former WBO light welterweight world champion with a record of 23 fights for 21 wins. The man holds notable wins over the likes of Ruslan Provodnikov and also Emmanuel Taylor, while he's also shared the rings with the great Manny Pacquiao and Amir. Prior to boxing, he was an undefeated ISKA world welterweight and super welterweight kickboxing champion. Not to be outdone, he's a scholar. Chris holds a bachelor's degree in healthcare services from Storey Brooke University, while also having a master's in clinical nutrition from the New York Institute of Technology, and also is a certified sports nutritionist by the ISSN. What a profile. Chris, my man, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you having me out here. All good over here. Doing good.
Awesome, man. Well, just off your profile, man, you're a pretty multi-dimensional human being. Dude, you've got heaps of options in and out of the ring. What I really want to know, why fighting, man?
I mean, I love it. I have a passion for what I do. I grew up as a kid, watching fights, looking up the fighters, looking up the champions especially. And so for me, it's something I love to do, and I'm blessed because I get to do it at the highest level of the game. And I got a lot more to do, and I'm just excited for the future.
Yeah, Chris, man, having your kickboxing background, your resume both in kickboxing and boxing. When you were a kid, who were your role models? Who'd you look up to in terms of athletes?
I mean, I was always a boxing fan. I grew up watching fights with my grandfather. But Oscar De La Hoya is somebody that really sticks out in my mind as a guy that I wanted to be like. The fact that he was a real gentleman outside the ring and an absolute killer when he was in the ring. Hardworking guy, came from not much and really made it to superstardom. Some other guys, I remember hearing stories about Sugar Ray Leonard, so I would always look up videos from him. Roy Jones Jr. in the 90s was, the best thing we've ever seen. Yeah. So that was, I think that was everybody's hero at that time. And then Arturo Gatti, when I was in high school, that guy was a rock star.
Yeah.
So watching his fights, I was actually at all three of the Mickey Ward Arturo Gatti fights, all three of them.
Wow, those were some...
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was always wondering, we were just chatting a couple weeks back with another fighter, and we were chatting about when it comes to, we were talking about Roy Jones and how great Roy was, and I think at the time, maybe a month ago, he just got, he was fighting, and he was one of my childhood heroes. It was kind of rough to see him perform that way. Do you feel that there's ever a time in a fighter's career where that decision has to be made?
Absolutely, absolutely, and for the most part, I think it has to come from the people around you. A fighter has a mentality that's born to them, and that doesn't leave just when the skills or the reaction time or your body deteriorates. So that mindset of a fighter is still there. Obviously, it takes the people around you, people that you trust, to tell you that it's time to hang it up.
Yeah. Circle of influence.
Yeah, definitely. Like Johnny did mention, you did obviously start in kickboxing first. How difficult was it to change your style into boxing, man?
It really wasn't too difficult for me specifically, just because of my style as a kickboxer. I was always much more of a puncher. If you ever go back and find any kickboxing videos of me, you'll see that I still used my jab, and I was a tenacious body puncher. I threw hand combinations and finished with kicks. So for me, the transition wasn't as difficult as maybe some other guys who had come from maybe a more traditional Thai boxing style or even a Taekwondo style. So, but I would say the biggest difference is the speed. Boxing is a much quicker sport. Kickboxing, more of a power sport. Kicks take longer to throw than punches do. And, the combination punching, 3-minute rounds versus 2-minute rounds, it's definitely a faster sport.
Definitely. Just over the last 2 fights, I've actually noticed that your style's changed just a touch. I think you can kind of adapt a lot more. Obviously, that might be something that you've learned under your new coach, John Jackson.
It's funny. John is getting all the accolades for my style being different, but it's funny. The first time I sparred with John, I trained with John. He was like, "Man," he's like, "You can punch." And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I knew you could from watching you. He's like, you could do some other things we can get you to punch more. He's like, and he also said, I can tell even just working with you that you want to be aggressive. You're an aggressive guy. And I was like, yeah, you pretty much, he nailed it. Like literally the first time we trained together. And, as a kickboxer and even early in my boxing career, I was way more aggressive, much more of a come forward kind of guy. Breaking guys down. I had a lot of knockouts in the beginning of my career. I dropped a lot of guys. It was really me finding and really trying to become a boxer and find my jab that kind of changed and transitioned me into the guy that people got used to knowing when they saw me fight Ruslan and when they saw me fight Taylor and Pacquiao and then now being much more aggressive. But I've always been an aggressive guy. It's just that the only fights that the world has seen that were televised, that was really boxing. So it's not. I tip my hat to John. He did great work with me, but it's not all in his court.
Definitely.
Yeah, Chris, like you talk to psychologists, they talk a lot about having anchors in regards to getting over things, moving forward, progressing. So watching against Provodnikov, just in that fight alone, you had some early adversity, you overcame that, and you won that. And then also the Khan fight, the Pacquiao fight, those fights come and pass, and then your next fight, you win that. Is there a specific, what's going through your head to get you to not stay in the past, to keep you progressing? Is there some specific moment or inspiration that you stick to that keeps driving you?
I mean, you kind of go step by step in your career. Like, you have your best laid plans of how things are going to work out, but life doesn't really work out that way, and you tend to have to deal in the moment and keep moving forward. I'm a really positive guy, and I really believe in my skills and my abilities. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, being able to anchor, like you said, on what I believe to be my talent and my skill set. So knowing that I can do it, I just need the right opportunities, has really kept me with my eyes going forward.
Awesome. Hey Chris, have you seen the movie Creed?
I actually haven't yet. I haven't got a chance to see it, or Southpaw.
I won't spoil it too much for you, but your man Stitch is in it, and Stitch came on on Saturday, and he's
great. Yeah,
there's a last round where Michael Jordan, the main character, can't see out of his eye, and Stitch taps him on the back of his head to try and get him through, because the doctor comes over to see if he can get through the fight. Now that fight against Provodnikov, your eye was probably one of the worst I've ever seen, man. What I want to know is, could you see out of that eye coming in the last round?
In the last round, no. No, not at all. That was 100% blind in that eye in the 12th round. It was getting progressively worse as the fight was going on, whether it got hit or not. That thing was on its way to close. In the first round, I couldn't see either. After I got hit, that's why actually I took a knee after the first knockdown. I couldn't see at that point. I had to wait until my vision cleared up. Thank God it did. That eight count I took on my knee gave me all that I needed to get a little bit of vision back in that eye so I could get right back to work. But, going out into round 12, I felt I was winning the fight. I know I needed to just to get through that round, but also not, just run. But it was really hard depth perception-wise to land shots when you're not sure how far the guy is away from you. Yeah, cool. So I was shooting at the air, at that point.
Yeah, I always wonder with you're kind of a rare breed in this sense. So if I compare you have a fighter, maybe like I don't want to put anyone on the spot with not being as educationally qualified as you are, but that could kind of be a double-edged sword. You being very visceral, knowing the nuances of the body and the processes. When you're in a fight and you're getting hit, do you ever have to tell yourself, don't think about that, let me just win this fight, let me have my primal animal take over?
There's something that happens to a fighter during training camp, and it's a transition, and it's mind and body and emotions and spiritual. And by the time you get there, you're a totally different person, to fight night, that is. So for me, inside that ring, like in the Ruslan fight, looking at the outside in, from the outside in, and knowing what I know and knowing what could have been, with that eye, I could have been blind for the rest of my life. I could have fractured my orbital and needed complete reconstructive surgery. I could have any number of things could have happened in that fight. And honestly, if I was watching the fight, from the outside in, not being in there, it would be tough to watch. But on fight night, I had nothing else in my mind but winning that fight. I didn't care about my face. I didn't care about the fact that my top lip and my teeth were numb, or that I could not stop my nose from bleeding, or that they're just I could see the curtain closing in on that eye. All I cared about was winning that night, and that is testament to the mindset of what I was going into that ring and what I had prepared myself to be on that night.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I was reading, there's been a couple documentaries about the whole Tyson-Buster Douglas fight, and what you just said there's pretty interesting about your mindset. Douglas was being asked about, that upset, and he said everybody in his camp knew that he would win that fight. The thing that they didn't teach him was how to react afterwards. Mm-hmm. So, in your camp, do you focus on people, or do you target people that was this a specific thing coming up as a fighter to be around mentally strong people, or did those people just come to you?
No, I think I've just been, I don't want to say luck. The older I get, the less I believe in luck. But for whatever reason, I've been around a lot of tough people, and a lot of my mentors have been guys that have stressed the psychology of really being tough and being persistent and aggressive. From my martial arts instructor from when I was 9 years old, to my wrestling coach in high school, to my boxing coaches since then, and even just my family members. My brother, he's a tough dude, and we grew up in a tough household. So it's just one of those things that it just worked out for me that I was around tough people and were influenced that way to be that way.
Chris, just your fight with Manny Pacquiao was the first time you fought outside of New York, first time you fought overseas. The fight was probably seen by 60 million people in Asia, just let alone. What did you take out of that loss, man? Obviously you bounced back now, you bounced back hard, you look like you're back on track now. What was exactly what you took out of that fight, man?
I always talk about the Manny Pacquiao experience, not the Manny Pacquiao fight, because it really was an experience, the whole thing. And I don't just mean fight night. I mean being in China, traveling in China, the multi-country press tour that lasted months, the invasion of privacy of all the media and all the attention. And it was a lot of firsts. It wasn't just my first fight outside of New York. It wasn't just my first pay-per-view fight. It was a lot, probably too many. But when you are a young, hungry, undefeated champion, nothing is too big, and you're ready for everything.
Yeah.
But that's the only mindset that I could have had going into the fight. I couldn't have any doubts or question what was going on around me. I just had to go to work. Yeah. And I think I learned a lot and grew a lot, not just as a fighter but as a person in that experience. And I think it's taken me forward in my career. Honestly, I'm a better fighter for it.
Definitely. Chris, also, when was the first time you actually saw Manny face to face?
It was in the press tour at Macau. That was the very first press conference we had.
Okay. So I was only asking because obviously you're a pretty big welterweight and he's a tiny welterweight. Did seeing him in the flesh give you a false sense of security?
It gave me. It was incredibly surprising that how small he actually was, and how much of a regular guy he looked like. But yeah, but he's still, I've been around a lot of top guys, and we all have our auras about us, that is a little larger than life. Hey, I don't look like a fighter when you're next to me either, but there's something about us, that we carry with ourselves everywhere. We can't control it. It's just one of those things. So there was that Pacquiao aura, even though he's a tiny guy. He's a little guy.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about is your background with nutrition? The more I read about you and learn about you, it just sounds like you want to be the best at everything you do. Would you have been down this road, the education road, regardless of fighting or not? Was it something that because you're a fighter, you want to know how the body works and what to put into the body?
No, I was kind of guided that way from a bunch of different sources. My grandfather being one, he told me that I was going to be a doctor when I was, a child. And then even in high school, my advisors and even my college advisors were still all pushing me that way. So, and education was stressed in my household, especially by my older brother. Actually, he really pushed the idea that education came first, and so that was something for me to really focus on and to be good at. So no, if I was not, a competitive athlete or whatever, I'm still a highly competitive person. That's just who I am, whether it be academics or athletics.
Yeah, is it true that you write nutritional programs for other athletes?
Oh yeah, I've worked with several fighters, guys who are actually in the UFC. Ryan LaFleur is a guy that I work with for years now. He's been one of my best clients, actually. He's really come a long way in terms of even his own knowledge about how his body works. I actually work with Chris Weidman. He's a friend of mine. I've worked with him in the past, another Long Island guy. Yeah. John Delonte is another guy from my gym with Belmar Kickboxing with Keith Trimble. I'm trying to think who else have I actually with. Dennis Bermudez is another buddy of mine that I've talked about nutrition with and weight cuts and things like that. So I'm surrounded by a lot of MMA guys, obviously, being from a kickboxing gym. But
it's pretty fascinating too, from your standpoint, being in at the highest level of sport in your craft, also having the dynamic of being able to be a teacher as well. What's your opinion on that? Do you find that makes you a better fighter?
I think it does, and I found that out earlier in my kickboxing career. Actually, when I started training other people, you get to break down techniques at a degree and a speed that you would never really do if you're just trying to get a workout in, or you're just working the pads or sparring, whatever. You break things down, you analyze things, you think about things that you're breaking it down into such small, minute maneuvers, just so you can explain it another way. And me being just like a rational-minded person, knowing why I do something really helps me to do it. So I think being a trainer and training other people and other fighters and talking about these kind of things has always helped me improve my own game.
Awesome. Chris, are you also working with the general public, man?
I was. Until just before the week of the Ruslan fight, I was actually literally training 40-year-old soccer moms, in the gym. People, I see all these young fighters all the time. Like, did you work the whole time? Like, yeah, man, I was a world champion training, like regular people. It's tough. You gotta make ends meet, and but it's also something I like to do. But yeah, I've worked with the general public, regular people, just trying to get in shape. That for me is incredibly satisfying to help someone get into shape, because who's not trying to get in shape? It's a difficult thing to do, and most people do not know anything about their bodies. So if I can educate just a little bit, it's extremely satisfying.
Cool, man. Hey, do you read anything about some people call it the flow state? I always wondered if this was a real thing. I read some say writers could get it. I often hear fighters, and the one story is I think Muhammad Ali was being interviewed years ago about a certain fight he had. It might have been Cleveland Williams. Yeah, and he said he doesn't remember one round of that fight. Now, you could take that however you want it, but the point of the article is a flow state, being in this almost uncontrollable essence of greatness. Does this happen to you when you're fighting?
The fight that actually makes me mad was the Emmanuel Taylor fight. That was my first big TV fight. It was a main event on ESPN, something I dreamed about, and it was against a really, really dangerous guy, especially at that point. He was all pretty much undefeated at that point. He had lost some split decision in a bad decision in the guy's hometown and whatnot, but was coming off a couple hellacious knockout wins on network TV. Super well-known guy in the amateur circuit in the U.S. and was really my first step up. For me, we trained super hard, especially a lot of mental in that fight, and we knew we had to be on our P's and Q's for 10 full rounds. And I remember everything from the fight. I'm really conscious when I fight about what's going on, what's happening in there. But I just remember being just so on, just feeling like everything was working, and nothing I did wasn't working. I just felt like I couldn't miss that night.
Yeah.
So I've actually done some reading and read that actually extensively about the flow state. I had a friend of mine who was really, really into it, a Jujitsu guy, and we spoke about that a lot because he wanted to know my experience being at a high level. And if I had experienced that.
Yeah. Do you think that it's something that the more we evolve as people, the smarter we get in, our knowledge about our own bodies? Do you think that's something in the future that we'll be able to train?
I think we can train it now.
Okay.
I think we can train it now, and I think it's not just mental. I think it's combining the two and the interaction between the mind and the body, and understanding that the body's going to do what the mind is going to tell it, and that even if the body wants to quit, and the mind doesn't, you can still make things happen. And being able to harness that and be really in tune is really what it's all about. And I think, like anything, the more time you train near that or trying for that, and the more times you fail at it, the better you're good at it. The better that you'll be at it.
Yeah. Are you doing any certain type of training methods, healing methods that one would say maybe would be alternative?
I mean, nothing that I haven't, nothing new. I've always been a big proponent of mental focus and meditation and visualization. I really think it's important for me, for my own sense and mental and being calm, just seeing everything that's going to happen in a fight before it happens. Yeah. And not even just the fight itself. It can be getting my hands wrapped in the back, or being in the limo on the way to the venue, or sitting in my room, at the hotel, getting ready to go down to the fight. Because that mental preparation, at any point you can lose control of all the work that you've done, the 6, 8, 10 weeks that you've spent training and getting ready. The wrong mentality can ruin all of that. So you really got to be conscious of where you're going to be at all times. Nothing should be. I don't want anything to be new to me. I don't want anything to be a surprise. I want everything to be just the way I'd seen it.
Awesome, man. Chris, just prior to the Pacquiao fight, you were featured on that HBO show 24/7, which was a great insight into your life. What I wanted to ask you is, obviously your family was a huge part of your life. You were living with your parents, your brother, his wife and kids. How much of a contributor to your success is your family, man?
I wouldn't be here without them. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a long, hard, and financially destitute life. Getting to being a champion or to being a top level fighter. There's no money in the beginning, and if they weren't supporting me the way that they were, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. I wouldn't be able to travel for the training camps that I had. I wouldn't have been able to pay for my training, pay for my flights, pay for my food, any of those things without their help. And they allowed me and supported me in that way, even if they didn't like me fighting so much. They at least supported the cause and was allowed me to be the best that I could throughout my early days.
Awesome, man. Also, during that episode, you were driving a Honda Accord. So that really showed me that you were a pretty grounded guy, despite the fact that you're a world champion. What happened to the Honda Accord, man? You still got it?
I gave it to my mom. Actually, she still drives it. It's still going. I think it's got like 220,000 miles on it. It's awesome. But yeah, no, I got a new car, but I'm actually looking to get another Honda.
Nice.
I have a Mercedes Benz here in New York, but I want to get a little bit of an upgrade. But I want to get a Honda for Florida actually.
Awesome, man. Well, you just obviously just mentioned Florida. You've been switching your times between both New York and Florida. What's the difference between training in both areas?
I mean, for one, the weather. I mean, the weather in Florida is year round. You know, fitness at 100. You know, I can. And I was there 3 days ago, and I was going for a run. It was 70 degrees outside. So, and now 3 days ago in New York, it was a frozen tundra blizzard of the millennia. So it's a much more fitness oriented place when it comes to weather and training. Just even the food that's out there, the people, the mentality. It's not as rushed as New York. Not as much traffic either. So that just allows me to be. Just allows me to stay more fit between fights, which is always something that I try to do.
Yeah. So we were chatting a little while ago with Corey Peacock, strength and conditioning coach of the Blackzilians. He was enlightening us on what's going on in the future with the ISSN. Could you tell our listeners a little bit about that and what you're trying to educate on what that is?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Dr. Corey Peacock he's a brilliant guy. It's amazing what he's done at such a young age already. But we actually worked with him at my last camp, kind of monitoring me metabolically and cardiovascularly, and trying to really maximize my recovery more than anything. You know, I've always been known as being a supremely fit guy when it comes to fight night. But I've been also known, to be kind of like a guy who overtrains and has had difficulty kind of dialing back. And I like to have people around me to kind of monitor that. Because for me, I'm going to work. I'm going to run myself into the ground if no one's going to, keep an eye on me. Yeah. So I'm just a hard worker that way, physically. So he was able to actually give me some hard numbers on certain things and being like, maybe you shouldn't run, that 6 minute mile, for 5 miles, on your day off, Chris. You don't need to red line every workout. I remember him saying that. He's like, you don't need to. He's like, everything you do is high intensity. I'm not saying you can't. He's like, but you really shouldn't do that to maximize performance. I'm like, all right, well, prove it.
Yeah.
Show me that I can't do that. And he showed me the numbers and he compared them. It was really interesting. Actually, he compared my runs, heart rate, and my pace to my heart rate and my pace of my boxing workouts. And he's like, listen, you're running this pace and a heart rate, and you're getting to a heart rate, and you're maintaining a heart rate that you're only reaching for about 15 seconds of a round, and you're doing it 5 out of the 12 rounds that you do. So it's like it really doesn't carry over. You're not helping yourself. You're breaking yourself down. Sure, your recovery is great. You're coming back the next workout and you're good. He's like, but maybe you can be even better. And that was really eye opening for me, because he had hard numbers to show me this. And it was like I said, I'm a rational guy. If I can rationalize it, I'll do it. I'm also stubborn, so it helps to have someone be able to show you these numbers and be like, hey, guess what? You could be a percentage better. So that was very interesting. And we kind of came up with an idea that maybe we can analyze this or collect this data and present it in a way that makes it understandable, that would be a good idea and worthwhile sharing. So that's kind of where we're at. We have a couple presentations coming up. We're going to be presenting separately, and then we're actually presenting together at the annual conference down in June. But the ISSN, the International Society of Sports Nutrition, is a great organization. I've been with them about 4 years now, and they really opened my eyes up to so many different things, to the science that's behind all the stuff that guys like you and I care about, and it's kind of makes it in a fun and understandable way. But at the end of the day, it's still hard science, and everything is backed with legitimate research, and that's really impressive that these guys have been able to do that and still keep it pretty cool.
Yes. Chris, a lot of obviously we interview a lot of combat athletes here on the podcast, and just in regards to your training, everyone's got a different kind of opinion in terms of like weight training and fighting. What's your stance on weight training during your actual preparation, man?
I think it's important. I think it's a vital part of training. I'm a professional athlete. I'm a year-round athlete. Maybe I fight 2 or 3 times a year, but I never stop training. And I think more and more guys, especially with MMA, you see that a little more. Because they have so much to train for. Their training camps are a lot longer. Where guys are maintaining, working in between or working on certain strength things. But the further away you are from a fight, strength training is more important. And as you get closer, it becomes less of a role, but still important. And maybe not even to get stronger, but just to maintain, muscular endurance, to maintain, your health of your joints, preventing injuries, anything like that, corrective work. That's strength and conditioning as well. It's not just, people think strength and conditioning, they think, all right, strength, power, punch harder. That's not always the case. It could be mobility stuff. It could be, like I said, corrective exercises. It could be rehabilitation exercises. It could be, at this level, 0.001% better is a big deal.
Yeah.
So I think any way that you can train smarter, not harder, with strength work, conditioning work, weight training, resistance training is probably a better word to use, is vital for any combat athlete.
All right. So being around, I always wondered this too, the mindset. Being around like guys like Weidman, Vellante, your relationship with Peacock, who's tied in with the Blackzilians, has it ever crossed your mind of wanting to maybe get in the cage, cross train?
No.
Do you ever do it?
No.
Do you ever pick
I
it?
have, yeah.
Yeah?
No, I've done it as cross training. I still kickbox in between fights just to because I like it.
Yeah.
I miss it. I like kicking. I like kickboxing. It's such a great workout and it's fun. So for me, kind of get away from so much boxing right after a fight. I'm gonna kick some Thai pads. I'm gonna throw some knees and elbows and stuff. Just because it's fun and it's still keep me fit. And but no, with the cage, that's a whole different world. It's something that honestly, it was just I didn't grow up with it. Like I watched fighting boxing since I was 5-6 years old and was like dreaming of doing that.
Yeah.
So I get to live my childhood dream right now. Yeah. MMA, wasn't when I was 5 or 6. There was no MMA, so it's not like I had this like deep passion for it. Boxing is a very dangerous sport, but I'm passionate about it. I love what I do. I don't have that same passion for MMA, so I wouldn't take the risk with my life or my health for it.
Yeah, it's interesting when people, I'm from Ohio and I live in Australia, and being down here, people always try to compare rugby with American football, and I just tell them that they're two different animals. You can't even. It's
completely different.
Yeah, and same thing. We had Austin Trout on a while back, and he was talking about guys were asking him about getting into MMA, and he's like, they asked me why wouldn't I do it, and I turned to them, I'm like, why would I? Two different things. It's just interesting being a fighter. You kind of just probably get that question just thrown in there. But,
oh, absolutely. But like you said, it's apples and oranges. And anytime we try and compare athletes from different sports fighting, it's silly. Yeah. It doesn't even make sense. There's certain aspects of the sport that are similar, but two totally different things, like you said.
Yeah. Chris, you came back last month with a pretty strong decision win over Eric Bone. What are we looking at for 2016?
I never really stopped training. From that last fight, I went right back to work. Been in the boxing gym. Really hoping that we can get something squared away and lined up for early 2016. Or we're already coming up on February, but I'd like to be back in March or April. And if I can get 3 fights in this year, that I'd be happy about that.
Awesome. Is just with just backtracking a little bit to the UFC. Obviously, the popularity of the sport's grown significantly. That's probably because the best fighters fight all the time. Is that something you would like to see in boxing as well? Like, apart from yourself, you fought Amir, you fought Manny Pacquiao, so you're probably setting a bit of a standard going after the best. But would you like to see it across the board?
I would. And I think it comes down to young fighters fighting each other. I think the young guys need to earn their keep a little bit. Kind of knock each other off, fight each other. I had fights like that. I fought other prospects on the way up. Jose Peralta was another guy that I fought. Emmanuel Taylor. It was 2 prospect fights. They were pick-em fights. And I think you need to see more of that in the younger guys, and then also seeing the higher-end guys, going at it, which you're starting to see a little bit now. We got Sean Porter and
Yes.
And Keith Thurman fighting in March. So fights like that we can make those top guys fight each other. I think is vital for the sport to grow and to keep progressing.
Cool, man. Are you reading anything right now? In terms of like, who's your favorite writer? What do you like reading?
Oh, my guy is actually Mike Woods. That's my favorite writer. I tell him all the time as soon as he calls me, I'm like, hey, how's my favorite writer doing?
Yeah.
But he's a good dude, and he tells it how it is. He's an entertaining guy. But there's some things out there. There's been talks about Andre Berto, Danny Garcia too. He just fought over the weekend. I think those are great fights for top guys in the welterweight division.
Awesome.
So we'll just see, though. I've never been a guy who picked who I fought, so whatever comes away, I'm all about the opportunity.
Most definitely. Chris, you're a bit of a foodie on your Instagram, man. You've got plans for a cookbook. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually been working on it for quite some time. It's tough being a professional fighter because you have all these plans and these things you're doing in between, and then like a fight comes up and everything drops. Everything, and you're just really just kind of focused on that. And then even after the fight, it's like, all right, I got to get my mind back into, other things. So that's something I've been working on for a long time, and it's come quite a bit. I got like about 65 recipes, done right now. Talking to some photographers, getting things together, and speaking with some publishers. So we're trying to. I want to be able to get it out to as many people as humanly possible. Before kind of jumping the gun and getting it out there. But the social media people are raring to go. They're waiting.
Awesome, man. Also, I see that you've got a super smoothie. Just for the audience out there who, obviously everyone wants to try what the big elite athletes are trying. Can you give us a little recipe for a super smoothie?
All right, it might freak you out a little bit because there's broccoli in my smoothie that I have for breakfast. Everyone's like, broccoli for breakfast? I'm like, just trust me. The way it blends into the smoothie, it thickens it up and it's nice. But I usually start my day with broccoli, spinach, blueberries, almond milk, coconut water, some whey protein isolate, a bunch of other supplement things for performance wise, but that's not going to affect the flavor. Fresh raw ginger, which is really important, maca powder, and chia seeds, and it makes like this purplish smoothie, and if it's blended the right way, it's very drinkable and easy, and it's filling too. So I usually have that my first meal in the day before my first training session, and then I'll come back and have like a real meal. But I've had few people I've made it for who did not enjoy it.
Chris, also, you just touched on other things you're putting in there. Supplements, man. Is that big in your diet?
Supplements should be just that. It should be a supplement to your whole food diet. I would say that 90% of what I eat is more than that. 95% of what I eat is actually whole food, and I usually prepare it myself. But there is a place for supplements, especially in a highly trained athlete who's having 2 to 3 sessions a day, who's constantly breaking their body down. The thing about deficiencies, whether it be vitamin, mineral, amino acids in your bloodstream, it's kind of an insidious breakdown. Like it takes time for your body to realize you're missing things. So everything can be fine for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden you're a wreck. So staying on top of that and making sure kind of like having a safety net, using supplements for that reason, I think is important for especially the highly trained or someone who doesn't have a really varied diet. It can be difficult to get all the nutrients you need if you are working out, if you're not eating a wide variety of foods.
Awesome.
Chris, man, we use this platform for our listeners as well so they can learn and find some motivation, inspiration through some successful people, dynamic people. Could you tell our listeners, maybe leave us with some inspirational words, some motivational tips that maybe to help that person who may be struggling with something?
I would say, my biggest motivation is to really focus on what you want. Whatever your goals are, having a goal, rationalizing those goals, it makes it easier to get through tough times. Because no matter what, there's going to be tough times. There's going to be doubts. There's going to be times where you're tempted. Say it's as easy as losing 5 pounds this year. It's like you know what's good for you. You know what you shouldn't do. You just got to really think about how important losing that 5 pounds is, if that is your goal. And really, I mean, sacrifice is a key to success. You know, I'm not talking about deprivation. I'm talking about sacrifice. And sacrifice not only is good for succeeding in whatever it is, it's just good mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally for you to be able to be in control of those animal urges or those that system telling you need something. Well, get control of that. Your mind is stronger than your body. And being in control of that, I think, is highly, highly important to be successful.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for that, man.
Great words, man. Just to finish, Chris, it's just a fun question we like to ask our guests. Chris Algieri was to host a dinner party. 5 people you can invite, dead or alive, just not your close family or friends. Who will those 5 people be?
Oh, that's awesome. That's a really good question. Someone I get asked if I got to have dinner with one person. Teddy Roosevelt is one guy I think that would be awesome to have. He's just a cool dude and was into boxing, so I think we would talk boxing. We'd probably end up sparring in the backyard at some point because I know that he was into that. He would invite pro boxers to his house and spar with them. But him for sure. Muhammad Ali, just because he's such a character and he just dominates a room. So having him in there with other guys who had strong personalities, I think would be entertaining as hell. Customato.
Ooh,
I would love to pick that guy's brain.
Yeah.
And then having him and Muhammad Ali in the same room would always be hilarious too.
You wouldn't get a word in, man.
No, I would sit there and watch. Definitely sit there and watch. Who else? I'm a big fan of Ernest Hemingway's writing too.
Yeah.
I think he's a cool dude. I'm getting a little nerdy on you now.
Yeah, that's good, man.
I'm thinking you need a lady in there. You need a lady in there.
A lady. This is not going to be a place for ladies, that's for sure. The shit we're going to be talking about, no way. Shoot.
Laughing's crazy.
Trying to think who's somebody brilliant or somebody just cool.
I guess your man Corey Peacock might get offended if you don't invite him.
What?
Man.
Yeah, he doesn't get the invite.
I see Corey all the time.
Yeah, Corey doesn't get the invite. Come on.
I mean, he's not that brilliant.
Yeah, he's all right.
Sorry, Corey.
What about Oscar? Oscar, you'll get Oscar De La Hoya in there, would you?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I actually still haven't met Oscar. Being such a big fan of him and being at the high level, I have not actually got a chance to meet him yet. So it'd be cool to kind of pick his brain as well.
Cool, man. Lastly, Chris, could you leave our listeners where they could find you out online and through social media?
ChrisAlgieri.com is up and running right now, although we're about to revamp the whole thing. But I would say that what I'm most prolific on would be my Instagram. It's just at Chris Algieri. It's ALGIERI. You can check me out there. That's pretty much where you get the most up-to-date stuff. But yeah, ChrisAlgieri.com, Facebook, Twitter, all those things. We're on all that.
Thanks a lot, man.
Awesome, Chris. Well, just really want to thank you for your time today, man. We'd love to get you back on later in the year too.
Absolutely, I'm down anytime, and I'm looking to come to Australia soon, so you guys better be ready.
100%, man. We'll show you Sydney.
We're going to show you around, man.
I've heard some great things. I actually work with a company, Zane Robe, and they're Aussie-based clothing company, and they're talking about going to bring me out there for a while now. So we got to get out there and meet some of the fans down under.
Cool,
awesome,
man.
Well, you hit me up when you're down here, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your time, buddy.
Thanks, gentlemen. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Chris the Collegian Algieri.
Just a dynamic human being, isn't he?
Very tactical, man. Just how he speaks, you can tell.
Mindset, huge. I know you like that sort of thing. You love mindset.
He's very confident, very educated. Dude, he
believes in himself. You can tell their voice.
Yeah.
Some people speak and they just talk shit.
Yeah.
And they put the big game out there, but you can tell in their voice that they don't believe themselves.
Yeah, and this dude, it doesn't matter if he wins or loses. Obviously, he's obsessed with winning, but just the belief that you're talking about, when you get to that level of self-belief, there's no such thing as winning or losing then. You're just on your path.
Yeah.
And it's really refreshing to, not refreshing is the wrong word, it's really cool and exciting to get to chat with people like that, because on a daily basis, I guess through our like social norms and what we choose to do, this is everybody, you might not be able to be aware of people like that.
Yeah.
They might come across as maybe a little condescending or brash.
Yeah.
But this guy, his
The
Instagram.
confidence.
Yeah. And then, to back it with this visceral education background and then this archaic, barbaric craft that he does, which he's really good at. And the sweet science, and they call it the sweet science for a reason, because the best boxers are the smartest. They're technicians. They're able to see holes in the game.
Can you imagine what goes through his like daily tasks? Like he's a nutritionist, he's an athlete.
Oh, dude.
This man must have more than 24 hours in a day.
I like what he said about having, if somebody isn't there to pull the reins back in his training, he's just gonna go full on the whole time.
How many times have you heard someone say, "I'm too busy to do something"?
Yeah.
This guy gets it done every day.
Or how many times do you hear people say, "I have nothing to do"?
Yeah.
That's the
How?
one. When you're like, yeah, dude. That's like what I was just writing about. We were talking about the act of engine. It's like, how in the world are you bored? That scares me.
There's so
Like,
many
I can't
good
be
things
bored.
that you can do. You can,
So many things.
Sports, art, books.
Read, think,
anything.
meditate, draw, make something, create something, talk to people, share, express, work out, move, dance. So many things.
Absolutely.
And it comes down to, I think, self-belief, self-worth, that mindset. This guy obviously didn't wake up yesterday and have that. He has been conditioned. He has been molded from his family. Family dynamic is huge. Unfortunately, we cannot choose who we get put into this world with. But some of us, I don't know if lucky is the word, but some of us, I guess, are more open to attaching ourselves to that idea of the importance of the people around us are influential in our upbringing.
Yeah, I think so as well. Guys, thanks for tuning in today. Just again, if you could please subscribe and leave us a quick review on iTunes, please.
5-star, subscribe, show us some love, shout out names, Johnny and TK all day.
Got some top UFC guys coming out in the next few episodes as well, so you don't want to miss
And
out.
some up and comers too.
And we've got some big fitness and also some nutrition experts as well. So
Yeah.
just to reinforce kind of what Chris has said, we've got some nutrition guys here in Australia coming
Yeah,
up.
we have, through our question and answers on our email list, we're starting to get a clear vision, no pun intended, of like our maybe more consistent movement of bringing on, combat athletes, people at the top of the head of their class, and then fitness entrepreneurs, nutritionists, educated people to teach, because this is what it is. This is a platform of educating, inspiring, and empowering.
Awesome. Just a quick shout out to our sponsors, Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop and also the Organic Trainer.
Yeah, check the Organic Trainer out at www.theorganictrainer.com for all of your exercise, tea, and recovery needs. When you're proceeding to the checkout, use keyword The Vision Board to receive 10% off all of your purchases. If you're living in the Sydney, Australia area, be sure to check out Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop in King's Cross, Potts Point. Call ahead, book ahead. They got an email option. Book ahead with Dre. They're always booked. He'll leave you feeling fresh and clean. You'll leave with some hair products, good ideas for the night. Rock and roll.
Guys, wherever you are in the world, you guys have a great day, and we will speak to you soon.
Have a great day. Peace.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.